classroom of Municipal Corporation of Greater Mumbai. I am Sonali Shankarao Kamre from Varsanagar, Mumbai Public School. I am going to teach history subject for 6th standard students. Today's topic is Ancient India and the World. Let's see objectives of this lesson. First one, to know ancient Indian culture. Second one, to know trade relation of India with Sri Lanka, China and other countries. Third one, to get ideas and values of ancient religion. And the fourth one, to know how Buddhism spread in India, Sri Lanka, China and Southeast Asia. Now I'm going to ask questions based on previous knowledge. So first question is, in which year Harappa city was discovered? In your last lecture, I teach you about the Harappa civilization and all the other important concepts. So first question is, in which year Harappa city was discovered? First option is 1920 and second one is 1960. Yes, anyone? Harappa city was discovered in 1920. Yesterday I show uh,
1950.
very good, 1920. Very good, Peta. Right answer. So my next question, where the Gautam Buddha gave his first sermon. Yesterday I also told about the meaning of the sermon, that is speech on the religious topic. Yes, first one Sarnath and the second one Gaya. At which place?
Sarnath.
Very good, Sarnath. Correct answer, beta. Very good. My third question is blank emerged in India during Kushana period. First option Gandhar art and the second option is Greek art. Which art emerged in India during Kushana period?
Gandhara art.
Very good. Correct answer. Very nice. My fourth question is blank merchants carried Indian goods up to Alexandria. Alexandria is a port, and which merchants carried Indian goods up to that port? Arab or Indian?
Arab.
Very good. Correct answer. Arab merchants carried Indian goods up to Alexandria. Very good. In our previous period, we have learned about India and the trade relation between the countries of the West. Today, we are going to learn about India and history of countries in Asia. See, here the map of Sri Lanka is given. Before to start history of Sri Lanka, I will tell how this country get name Sri Lanka. So, see, this is the Sri Lanka's map. Sri Lanka is an island nation of the southern coast of India. It was once known as the country of Ceylon. Country of Ceylon. Yes, country of Ceylon. Buddhism came to Sri Lanka in the mid 3rd century BC and had a large impact on the culture. The first great civilization to develop was at the city of Anuradhapur. See, this is the city of Anuradhapur. This was the first city where the great civilization developed. In the 6th century, the Portuguese arrived. They made settlement along the coast. Then Dutch followed around 100 years later. In 1796, the Britishers arrived and kicked out the Dutch. After ruled by Britishers, Ceylon became an independent nation. Ceylon became independent nation after the rule of Britishers. Then what happened after the independence? Ceylon began to adopt communication and adopted a new constitution and become a republic nation. This was when the name of the country changed to Sri Lanka. It means that after the independence, Ceylon changed their name of country. It becomes now Sri Lanka. Nowadays in Sri Lanka, which type of government is there? There is a republic government is there, and the national symbol for this country is lion, and the capital of Sri Lanka is Colombo. See, here is the capital of the Sri Lanka, Colombo. Now we will see about the ancient part of Sri Lanka. King Ashoka had sent his son Mahendra and daughter Sanghamitra to Sri Lanka to spread Buddhism. It means that in Sri Lanka, how Buddhism came because of the King Ashoka. Their names are mentioned in the Buddhist text Mahavans written in Sri Lanka. It means that Sri Lanka's literature, that is Buddhist text Mahavans, their names are mentioned. Whose name? The son Mahendra and the daughter Sanghamitra. Sanghamitra carried a branch of Bodhi tree with her. See, this is the Bodhi tree. Bodhi tree where the Buddha become enlightened one. In our lesson, last period, I explained about the Bodhi tree and the enlightened meaning of the enlightened also. The Bodhi tree was a large and very old secret fig tree. It was at the Mahabodhi temple at Bodh Gaya. Bodh Gaya is present where? It is present in the Bihar. Siddharth Gautama, the spiritual teacher and founder of Buddhism. We all know this. Let's see a short video on Ashoka King, and it shows that how Buddhism spread in Sri Lanka. Listen it carefully.
Ashoka the Great was one of the greatest Indian emperors of all time. He ruled the Maurya Empire in the 3rd century BC. His grandfather was Chandragupta Maurya, the founder of the Maurya dynasty. His father was Bindusara. Ashoka was so mighty that his empire included almost the entire Indian subcontinent, except today's Tamil Nadu and Kerala. His capital was Pataliputra, which is the present day Patna, the Indian state of Bihar's capital. For such an infallible ruler like Ashoka, the aftermath of a war became a huge turning point in his life. With the desire to expand his kingdom even further, he waged a war against Kalinga, which is the present day state of Odisha. The war was so intense that the whole area of Kalinga was plundered and destroyed. Kalinga War proved to be one of the deadliest battles in Indian history, killing over 100,000 people. After the war, Ashoka was filled with deep remorse, and it changed Ashoka forever. Though he was born a Hindu, the bloodshed of this war prompted him to adopt Buddhism. He started spreading Buddhism and promoted nonviolence. He even sent his children Mahinda and Sanghamitta to Sri Lanka to spread Buddhism. Today, we know about Ashoka from scriptures such as Ashoka Vadana, Mahavamsa, and his own Prakrit inscriptions on pillars and rocks. Ashoka also left numerous Buddhist monuments for generations of the future. He built various Buddhist worship places called stupas and erected many pillars with animal capitals on them. He built the Sanchi Stupa near Bhopal and the Sarnath pillar with the lion capital near Varanasi. The lion capital on Ashoka's pillar in Sarnath has been adopted as the emblem of India. And the Ashoka Chakra, the wheel at its base, has been placed onto the center of India's national flag. Ashoka will always be remembered for his greatness and his treasured monuments. Ashoka the Great.
Yes. From this video, what we have learned that after the war of Kalinga, Ashoka totally changed and he adopted Buddhism. And after that, he was spreading the Buddhism all over the other countries also, and promotes to the non-violence instead of the violence. He also sent his son and the daughter also, Sanghamitra, to spread Buddhism and forms different kinds of stoops and the caves also. So, in this way, the major contribution of the King Ashoka was given to spread of Buddhism in Sri Lanka. The Sri Lankan tradition believes that the Bodhi tree at Anuradhapur in Sri Lanka has grown from the same branch. Which branch? The branch of that Bodhi tree, which is present in both Gaya, and the Gaya is present in the state of Bihar. There was a great demand in India for Sri Lankan pearls and the other previous stones. Here, the Anuradhapur is shown, and here is the that branch of tree is grown up. In the 5th century CE, King Kashyap had caves dug out at a place called Sigiriya. This is the cave which was dug out in the presence of the King Kashyap. The wall painting of Sigiriya caves resembles to the painting of Ajanta caves. The word resembles, it means that similar to the painting of Ajanta caves. Ajanta caves, it is present in Aurangabad in Maharashtra state, which is in our India country. So there is a similarity between the Ajanta caves and the Sigiriya. Let's see the two literature of the Sri Lankans. First one is Mahavansh and the second one is Deepvansh. First one, the Mahavansh, similar to the Deepvansh, is written in Pali. Pali is a language. It deals with the history of the island from legendary beginnings also up to the reign of Mahasen. The Mahavansh is literature which is tells us about the history of island from legendary beginnings and also up to the reign of Mahasen. After that, Deepvansh, the earliest extant chronicle of Sri Lanka of unknown authorship, deals with the history of the island from earliest times up to the reign of Mahasen. Sri Lankan Buddhist work provide information about the close relation between India and the Sri Lanka. They are written in Pali languages. It means that Mahavansh and Deepvansh both literature in Pali language. Let's see the spread of Buddhism in Sri Lanka. See, this is our capital of Sri Lanka, Colombo, and this arrow shows the spread of Buddhism. This is Anuradhapur, and again different kinds of arrows are connected to different cities to each other. See, this city is connected to this one, and the Colombo is connected to Kandy. Kandy is connected to Anuradhapur. Then Anuradhapur is connected to uh, Habarana. This kind of different kinds of cities, which shows the spread of Buddhism in Sri Lanka. India has ancient links with Sri Lanka since the rule of Emperor Ashoka. From the Ashoka, the King Ashoka, the India built up relationship with the Sri Lanka. How their relationship with the Sri Lanka? Let's see. There are five kinds of relationship. First one is the intellectual intercourse. Second one, cultural intercourse. Third one, religious intercourse, and the fourth one, linguistic intercourse. Here linguistic means uh, relations with the different kinds of language. Linguistic word is derived from the language. So this is all about the history of the Sri Lanka, and now I'm going to show a short video on the history of Sri Lanka, how the Sri Lanka was the city and how it develops now. Let's listen it carefully.
The civilization of Sri Lanka is more than 2,500 years old. Its recorded history commences from around the 6th century BC. In earlier times, the island was known by different names such as Serendip, Tambapanni, and Sihaladvipa. After the arrival of the European colonial powers, it was commonly known as Ceylon. The Aryan settlements were established during the 5th or 6th centuries BC, primarily in the north central province. The chronicles record that the earliest settlers were the Sinhalese, who derived from a North Indian group of settlers. They established independent kingdoms, including Anuradhapura in the north central region. Buddhism was introduced by Arahat Mahinda, the son of the Indian Mauryan Emperor Ashoka, in the 3rd century BC, and quickly became the religion of the state. The city of Anuradhapura became the seat of government. On a number of occasions, it had to struggle with South Indian invaders, and in the 11th century AD, the capital moved from Anuradhapura to Polonnaruwa. A new era dawned in the annals of the Sri Lankan history with the advent of the Portuguese, who began to occupy the strategic centers of the coastal region of the island since the year 1505, starting from Colombo. By 1597, the Portuguese took formal control of the coastal regions of the island. However, they failed to dislodge the powerful Sinhalese kingdom in Kandy. With the help of the Dutch, the Sinhalese kings were able to expel the Portuguese from Sri Lanka in 1658. The Dutch administration, manned by a trading company that was mainly interested in trade and making profits, nevertheless succeeded in ruling the maritime regions up until 1796. They handed over their possessions in the island to the British in 1796 without any bloodshed. In 1815, British troops defeated the Sinhalese kingdom of Kandy and became the first European power to rule the entire island. Sri Lanka gained independence from the British in 1948 and adopted a democratic socialist system of government. In 1972, the country became a republic and adopted Sri Lanka as its official name.
Yes, from this video, what we have learned, that is the country which was name is Ceylon. It was changed after the independence and becomes the Sri Lanka, and the symbol of Sri Lanka is lion also. And in this way, the short history of Sri Lanka is shown through this video. Let us see now about the China. India and China had established trade and cultural relations. Emperor Harshavardhan had even sent an ambassador to the Chinese court. See, this is the map of China, and here is the India. Both are uh, both are created their trade and the cultural relations. After that, the capital of China is Beijing, and this is the whole China's map. Okay, Chinese silk was the known as Chinese silk was known as China Shunk, and was a great demand in India. Chinese silk. See, in this peak, the ladies are what they are doing. They are making the silk, Chinese silk, which which was also known as the China Shunk. And India, there was a great demand for the Chinese silk. The merchants in India, ancient India, supplied Chinese silk to Western countries. Then how they are supplying Chinese silk to the Western countries? From the Silk Route. See, Silk Route means what? The Silk Route means the land route by which the silk trade was carried on. See, this is the China, this is the India, and the red mark shows the Silk Route. From this route, the merchants are carried out the Chinese silk to the other countries. For example, from China, they are carried from up to the India, then up to the Persia, then again Europe, then again Egypt, and the other many countries. In Silk Route in India, example Nala Supara in near Mumbai in Maharashtra. It means that the China connected to India in from which Silk Route, that is the Nala Supara, which was nearby Mumbai in Maharashtra. Spread of Buddhism in China. The Ming Emperor of China invited the Buddhist bhikkhus Dharma Rakshak and Kashyap Matang to China. The Ming Emperor of the China invited Buddhist bhikkhus from where? From India to China to spread of Buddhism. Spread of Buddhism in China by translating Indian Buddhist text into the Chinese languages. How they are translating, or how they are spreading Buddhism in the China by translating Indian Buddhist text into the Chinese languages. See, here the Nalanda city is present in the India. From this, the spreading of the Buddhism, it takes place through Kashmir, then Kashmir through Donghang, then Changwon. These are the name of the city of the China, and this is the China where the spread of Buddhism takes place, and after that, from the China also the Buddhism takes place up to the Korea. Then from the Korea, the Buddhism spread up to Japan country. In this way, the spread of Buddhism was takes place. The Chinese Buddhist bhikkhus Fahian and the Yuan Shuang came India through Silk Route. See, this is the bhikkhus. The name is Xuan. He was came India through Silk Route. This line shows the Silk Route. From this Silk Route, they came from China to India. Let's see a short video on history of China also, how the history, how the China was developed and it becomes independent now.
The geography of ancient China shaped the way the civilization and culture developed. The large land was isolated from much of the rest of the world by dry deserts to the north, ocean to the east, and impassable mountains to the south. This enabled the Chinese to develop independently from other world civilizations. Perhaps the two most important geographical features of ancient China were the two major rivers that flowed through central China: the Yellow River to the north and the Yangtze River to the south. These major rivers were a great source of fresh water, food, fertile soil, and transportation. They also were the subjects of Chinese poetry, art, literature, and folklore. The Yellow River is often called the cradle of Chinese civilization. It was along the banks of the Yellow River where the Chinese civilization first formed. The Yellow River is 3,395 miles long, making it the sixth longest river in the world. It is also called the Huanghe River. Early Chinese farmers built small villages along the Yellow River. The rich yellow-colored soil is good for growing the grain called hemp. The farmers of this area also raised sheep and cattle. The Yangtze River is south of the Yellow River and flows in the same direction, west to east. It is 3,988 miles long and is the third longest river in the world. Just like the Yellow River, the Yangtze River played an important role in the development of the culture and civilization of ancient China. Farmers that lived along the Yangtze River took advantage of the warm climate and rainy weather to grow rice. Eventually, the land along the Yangtze became some of the most important and wealthy land in all of ancient China. Yangtze also serves as a boundary between northern and southern China. It is very wide and difficult to cross. The famous Battle of Red Cliffs took place along the river. To the south and southeast of China are the Himalaya Mountains. These are the highest mountains in the world. They provided a nearly impassable border for ancient China, keeping the area isolated from many other civilizations. They were also important to Chinese religion and were considered sacred. To the north and west of ancient China are two of the world's largest deserts, the Gobi Desert and the Taklamakan Desert. These deserts also provided borders that kept the Chinese isolated from the rest of the world. Mongols, however, lived in the Gobi Desert and were constantly raiding cities of northern China. This is why the Great Wall of China was built, to protect the Chinese from these northern invaders. Interesting facts about the geography of ancient China. Today, the Three Gorges Dam on the Yangtze River serves as the world's largest hydroelectric power source. The Yellow River also has the name China's Sorrow because of the terrible floods that globe. The Taklamakan Desert has the nickname of the Sea of Death because of its temperature extremes and poisonous snakes. Much of the Silk Road traveled along the deserts to the north and west of China. The religion of Buddhism is closely associated with the Himalaya Mountains.
Yes. From this video, what we have learned that ancient China was one of the oldest and longest lasting civilization in the history of the world. In the China, there are two important rivers are there. First one is Yellow River, and the second one is the Yuhan's River. That two rivers are very important for the development of the history of China. After that, we have seen about the facts of the geographical area of the China, and how that river, mountains, and how the deserts are known today also, and why they are famous. It was all tales tell in this video. This is the short video of history of China, and from this we have learned it. Let us see now the countries in the Southeast Asia. The ancient kingdom of the Funan in Cambodia was established in the first century CE. Here, where is, see, these are the what is the southeast, these are the southeast countries of the Asia. Which one? Myanmar, then Thailand, then Cambodia, then Indonesia, and other also. So from these, the ancient kingdom Funan, what established in the first century. People of Funan knew Sanskrit language. The stone inscription of that period is still existence in Sanskrit language. There, there is a Sanskrit language known by the people of the Funan, and their stone inscription is also present in Sanskrit language. So how the impact of Indian culture is was done? Let's see. The Indian culture had deep impact on the art and cultural life of Southeast Asia. For example, dance dramas based on the stories from Indian epics like Ramayana and the Mahabharata. We all learn about the epic of Ramayana and epic of the Mahabharata. See, this is the peak of map of India, which shows different kinds of religions, different kinds of languages, different kinds of peoples, but still there is a unity in the diversity. Why? Because of the um, because the because of the their culture of our India, which impacts on the southeast countries, countries of Asia. From where? From different kinds of ways. For example, dance, dramas, and the others, stories of the Indian epics also. From this peak, we have seen that different kinds of festivals also, festivals, then religions, then again, what is the their folk songs. From this way, the impacts of Indian culture, uh, Indian culture on the southeast countries of Asia becomes. So these are the short history of how the impacts of Indian culture done on the other countries. Let's see spread of Buddhism in Southeast Asia. In ancient period, the Buddhist religion spread to Myanmar, Thailand, and the Indonesia. See, This is the in Southeast countries, Myanmar, Thailand, and Indonesia is nearby here. So in this period, in this countries, in this sorry, in these countries, the spread of Buddhism was done. So let's see what are the recapitulation. It means that I taught you about the history of Sri Lanka, I taught you about the history of China, and also the relation between the India and the southeast countries of the Asia. So first question I will ask on the on these topics, that is, the first one is the King Kashyap had dug caves at a place known as Sigiriya. This statement is correct or true or false? I shown one pic also that King Kashyap had dug caves at place of Sigiriya, which was similar to the Ajanta caves. Yes,
True.
very good, true.
True.
This very good, Vedas. This statement is totally true. Very nice. The second question. Second question is Mahavansh written in Pali language. I told you that there are two types of literature, Mahavansh and the Deepvansh. Both are written in which language? This statement is
Only
true or
language.
false?
True.
Huh? Very good. True. Yes, Pali language. This statement is totally true. Very good. Question number third. Nala Supara near the Mumbai was the Silk Route. I shown the Silk Route also from the China to the India. The Nala Supara is the example of the Silk Route. Is it true or false?
True.
Yes, true. Very good. It is true. The merchants brings the silk, Chinese silk from the China up to the India from which route? From the Nala Supara silk route. Question number fourth: the Chinese Buddhist bhikkhus Fa Hian and Yuan Shuang came to India through Silk Route. Is it true? I shown the
Yes.
Chinese Buddhist tropical. Yes, very good. Yes, this is
True.
the yes, correct. True. This statement is totally true. Question number fifth: Emperor Harshvardhan had sent an ambassador to the Chinese court. Is it true or false?
False.
False. Think again. When I was teaching you about the China history of China, that time I show PPT
True.
slide, and there
True.
yes, I shown a map of China, and there I told you about the Emperor Harshvardhan had sent an ambassador to the Chinese court. This is true statement. Very good. This is the recapitulation of today's lecture. Now I'm going to give some assignment for all 6th standard students. First one, elaborate Indian culture had an impact on Southeast Asia. Second one, write a short note on Silk Route. Third one, explain the spread of Buddhism in China. Fourth one, write a history of Sri Lanka. It means how the Sri Lanka names came and how the Buddhism was spread in the Sri Lanka. And the last one, fifth one, write information about your favorite historical place. Write your information about the favorite historical place. So in this way, the assignment is also given to all the students, and the lesson number 11, Ancient and the ancient India and the world is completed. So thank you all students.